It was, 11 months ago when I shot an episode of the show, hit show on Showtime, Billions, and I met this man, and I'm like, hey, man, if you're ever in Los Angeles, you want to promote anything, come on the show. And he said, I will. And now you are here promoting Dan Soder, Son of a Gary, new stand-up special on HBO, HBO Now, HBO Go, HBO On Demand, the whole thing. Shot at the Bowery Ballroom back in October, now coming to your television set Saturday at 10 Eastern Time. The man who plays Maffei on Billions and so much more. Dan Soder, good to see you.
Hey, man, thanks for having me, Rich. It's so funny to be here because I remember that day of filming.
Yes.
I was with Sam Morrill, who's a fantastic stand-up comedian and one of my good friends, and he was in the episode.
Yes.
And we talked to you briefly. We just had a quick moment, backstage, talked to you, and then we run around the corner and did like the, oh my God, we did the thing. We were like, we're just talking to Rich Eisen. And Sam's like, I have so many questions I want to ask him. I'm like, you got to be cool, though. You got to roll it out over the day. We got 12 hours. Koppelman and Levine were making fun of me the day before we filmed that scene. Yeah. We did a training montage, and Deontay Wilder was doing... They were doing the locker room scene with Dollar Bill, and then Stipe Miocic and I did our locker room scene. But I'm a huge boxing fan, and I love Deontay Wilder. And it's cool to be on set of Billions because I know Koppelman and Levine well enough that they know when I'm freaking out. Yeah. And they're like, you dork. Because I was like, hello, champ, Mr. Wilder, nice to meet you. And I walked out and they're like, you are such an idiot. I'm like, it's the Bronze Bomber. Because it's
amazing.
Crazy.
You know, Koppelman and Levine who write and created
the show.
and Rounders also. I mean, they've got they're amazing.
Two of the most immensely talented people I've ever been around. And that's just par for the course. Like working on Billions, you're just around people where you're like, hey, I'm also a fan of yours. Like you're talking to like David Costabile.
I mean, exactly.
Yeah, like David Costabile, who plays Wags, is, I would argue, one of the greatest actors of our generation.
I'd agree. Yeah.
And you'll be talking to him about stuff, and I'll be like, it's like episode of The Why, you were in The Wire. And you're just like talking to him, you're like, that episode of Breaking Bad, you were in Breaking Bad. Son of a, I can't, Lincoln was, damn it, that was you too. And you're just like bringing up stuff where you're like, oh man.
But to me, I met Deontay Wilder, and my first thought was, oh my God. Yeah. Who in the world would get in the ring with this guy? Yeah. And then a few months ago, we had Tyson Fury sitting in that chair. Yeah. And I'm like, how the hell did the referee even survive getting in between these two guys?
Dude, talk about just like one of those old school Godzilla movies where it's like Mecha Godzilla. they should make Wilder and Fury fight in a small scale city, Right. So while they're boxing, it's also like knocking down small buildings.
Right. And
Miocic they're huge.
And Miocic was no slouch too. I mean, he was huge.
The craziest thing about Stipe Miocic is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. And then I watched that Daniel Cormier fight, and you're like, well, I don't know this Stipe. just taking body shots to Daniel Cormier, and you're like, oh God. And watching it, it's unbelievable. And that was the coolest thing about that entire day of us filming that, I guess you could call it a boxing match.
It's right.
But was all the individual people that were there and just how cool everyone was. It was just a fun day to be on set. And then also, I don't know if you know this, but some of the people milling around were just billionaires. They were actual billionaires.
I did not know that. Like
the guy that shorted Enron was like sitting while we were talking. You, Sam, and I was like 3 seats away from us, just
as
sitting
an
there.
extra or just watching.
He's in the episode where they go to him sitting ringside. And David Levine was like, you know who that guy is, right? And I was like, no. And he's like, that's the guy that shorted Enron. And you're like,
okay.
Oh, cool, man.
What other tips do you have?
All
perhaps?
Right. Anything coming I should know about? Are we in a bubble? You're just like these people who are like, good job, dude.
So how did you get involved with Billions?
I met Brian Koppelman. He did stand-up for a while. And he was
Koppelman did stand-up?
Yeah, for like 18 months he was doing it. And he was just in the scene. He was just doing open mics and that kind of stuff. And I met Brian, and we became friends, and I didn't really know that he was a screenwriter. When you meet people doing stand-up, people all the time are like, I'm a screenwriter. And you're like, you sure are, buddy. Sure are.
Except this one
and
did
we're comedians. And we're at an open mic, and Koppelman was like, yeah, I'm a screenwriter. I'm like, sure, buddy. And then he was like, yeah, I got to go to L.A. for work. I wrote a movie, and I was like, what movie did you write? And he's like, Ocean's 13. And I was like, son of a. And he's like, yeah, my first movie that I wrote with my partner David was Rounders. And I was like, you wrote Rounders? Yeah. But then I jokingly said to him when I thought he was like a construction worker. Like that's like the energy he carries.
Right.
And then I jokingly told him like right after that, I was like, hey, let's just act like I thought you were a construction worker still, because that's more comfortable.
Right.
And then I think as he got back into screenwriting and directing, he kind of was like interested to keep tabs on me, because I was just going through the New York comedy scene and doing different stuff. Like when I got my first TV credit in 2009 on Live at Gotham and Comedy Central, he's like, how'd it go? He's just always just kind of like this peripheral figure. And then he'd have me audition for stuff. He'd be like, hey, come in and audition, because I know you want to be in stuff. And so I'd audition and fail, and then I started auditioning, and then finally, after years, we were going to kind of do a show. Levine Koppelman and I, we were talking about ideas for maybe a pilot, and then they're like, hey, we're going to go write this thing with Aaron Ross Sorkin about the finance world. And then they came back and like, hey, it's a show. It's going to be a pilot on Showtime. Come in for it. And I auditioned for the pilot.
Did you know that Paul Giamatti was involved with?
I found out through the audition process that it was Paul Giamatti, and then it was Damian Lewis, and then it was Maggie Siff and Malin Ackerman, and then you start learning that, and you're like, whoa. Okay.
Careful.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. That was such a real. I apologize. It's hit the dub button.
It's okay.
But it got to that point where you're like, wait, what am I auditioning for?
Yeah, right.
I don't think I should be on this. Do you know who I am? I'm a waiter at a Mexican restaurant.
Right.
And then finally, Showtime liked me, and they brought me back. And eventually, they were like, I don't think we can either have a runoff. You can do a one-off in the pilot, or we can write you a role if we go to series. But the way they said it, I was like, do you guys not think you're going to go to series?
Yeah, I know. But this team, I mean, and it's so amazing.
It'd be like
Dan.
that 04 Lakers team being like, I don't know if we're going to go to the playoffs. And you're like, oh, cool. You mean when you added Malone and Peyton and you're not sure you're going to go to the playoffs?
Right.
So they came through with it. And, they're like, hey, season 1, we have about 5 episodes for you. You're going to play one of the, finance bros kind of in the pit. And I was like,
and Maffei was born.
And it's been it's been cool to, get on Team Mason, and I saw the X-Cap.
I have this mug, yeah.
I know that you're slowly trolling me.
No,
all right.
no,
Mason
it's okay.
Capital
It's
will
okay.
thrive.
It's all I have. If I got a Taylor Mason cap mug, I would have it too.
We might have to double down, send you a Mace cap, sweatshirt, and mug.
Okay.
Let's see if you're real friends at X-Cap answer. But it's been an unbelievable kind of thing to grow and watch the show become huge and great. And season 5 is going to be... We're filming season 5 now, and it's unbelievable.
Okay, so
it's gonna be.
Do you know what the ending is for season 5 right now?
No, I've heard
keep it from
rumors.
You? No kidding.
I've heard rumors. They don't tell us anything. They give us episode by episode.
That's it.
Yeah, and then
okay.
So we have guesses.
Okay.
Daniel K. Isaac, who plays Ben Kim, and Kelly O'Coin.
Yeah.
We'll have like guesses. Like, what do you think? And now that, if you saw the end, spoiler alert, if you saw the end of season 4, Mason Capital's folded back into X-Cap.
Yes, sir.
So now we're all back together and under the same roof, and that's just a lot of fun.
Now, we got Dan Soder again. We'll talk about his stand-up special, Son of a Gary, in a second. If I'm not mistaken, the Nuggets and Blazers were in a playoff series.
They were in the
other.
West. Yeah, they were in the semifinals.
Right. And then so
when the episode aired,
Kelly O'Coin is, as you know, he's been on the show. He's a diehard Blazer fan. Right, yeah. And you're from Aurora, Colorado,
Grew up in Colorado, but my dad was a Bay Area transplant.
Okay.
And so I was raised 49ers, San Francisco Giants. Pushed the Warriors on me, but then in 1991, my dad moved back to San Francisco. My mom lived in Denver, and finally, I had this moment of self-discovery in 1991 when the Warriors dealt Tim Hardaway to the Heat. I was like, if there's no Run TMC,
you're out.
I'm out.
Right.
And I'm going to be a Denver Nuggets fan. I need a Denver team.
So who was your guy?
I mean, I loved LaFonso Ellis. Growing up, LaFonso Ellis, and then Mutombo and that whole Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf team.
Yeah.
Loved him.
Yeah, and Mutombo took out the Sonics, right?
Yeah, it was the Sonics. It was the 8-1 upset, 1994. That's when he's holding the ball.
Yeah, right.
And then we got smacked by the Jazz. The Jazz were like, cool, way to win, 8 seed. And then they just buried us. But then, what I love about the Blazers-Nuggets rivalry right now is who was the Western Player of the Week? Carmelo Anthony.
It's amazing,
We might just have to see a Blazers-Nuggets where Melo has to come back to Denver. And he broke our heart more than any athlete, I think, in my life has ever.
Come on.
The Montana to Kansas City trade, I kind of understood as a kid. But Melo just being like, I don't want to be here, hurt. As a Nuggets fan, you're like, come on, man. We had a good team in 2009. We made it to the Western Conference Finals. So that'll be a fun, if that plays out.
It's been fun. Like, his first game was less than, but again, the guy has been, you could say he's rusty. He's a big mellow
I'm
guy
a big
from
mellow guy,
Syracuse.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, he won the title.
Of course.
But I got to break the news to Kelly O'Coin, who's a giant Blazers fan, that the Blazers got Melo. I was like, you got our old boy Melo? He's like, no. He was, and I'll tell you where he was for Billions fans. We were in between scenes, and he was sitting in Spiros' office. We were all sitting around,
Nice.
and I walked into Spiros' office, and I was like, Blazers got Melo. And he's like, no. I was more upset because I'm like, you guys took our
That
old...
guy is amazing.
By the way, it sounds like that could have been an episode or scene from actually
That's what's
from
great
Billions.
is they put a lot of stuff in the show that's kind of true to life.
Right.
So like they have Mafi as a 49er fan. I had that 49er mouth guard. And then you see it in the boxing episode
That's
I have.
right.
Because
you've got to be out of your mind right now, right? I mean, this is real. This is real. The whole,
I can't believe
the whole business of like, are they real? Are they for real? They're absolutely for real.
I've been very lucky because one of my childhood friends who I grew up with is the run game coordinator for the 49ers, Michael McDaniel. And he's been a part of Kyle. He's worked with Kyle in Atlanta and in Washington.
And it's not just any run game here. This is a serious, like, we're going to hit you in the mouth. This is what we do type run game.
It just fills me with joy because Mike and I will talk and he'll call me and we went to a game last year. My friend Chad and I went to the 49ers Lions game. And Mike called us as we're driving to the game, and he's like, "Do you guys want to know what the first play of the game is?" And I was like, 100%. And
nice
he goes,
flex.
And I love this. He goes, if the Lions flex left and they put 7 in the box, it's a right side gash to Breida. And Breida took it 65 yards. Watch that game back. It was the first play of the Lions-Niners game.
Wow.
And we're in the stands.
That is a flex.
We're going like this, grabbing each other, like, this is the play he said. And you're watching Breida just go. So it's been, not only are the 49ers my favorite team of all time, my favorite sports franchise, but having like a friend like that I know and just kind of, I've met Kyle several times and we were at Mike's wedding together. And it was like that kind of thing where it like, man, come on. And I love that defense. That Robert Saleh defense is... Niner fans kept being like, another D lineman.
I know, right?
Another D lineman.
Well,
and
guess what? Yeah, another D line. That's what you need.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
And the two quarterbacks that we had a problem with, Lamar and Russ, those are the ones you're going to have problems with because they are just so good at extending plays.
Well, it's not exclusive to the 49ers.
Exactly.
Although both of the guys that you supposedly had problems with, and everybody does, both games came down to a field goal. So you never know. You never know. And I'm so excited for you and all the Niner fans.
As a sports fan, you grab one thing, like a parrot, to yell back after a loss.
Yeah.
Either if it's a call or a play, and you're like,
right.
And the only thing I could come up with after the loss to the Ravens on Sunday was like, 2 missed field goals and we're undefeated. Yeah, it's just like my parrot. That was my parrot thought. Where I'm like,
true.
2 missed field goals and we're undefeated. But the Saints this week in New Orleans is scary.
Yeah.
But I said, man, if the 49ers, the Green Bay, Baltimore, New Orleans run, I said if the Niners could win 2 out of 3, I would argue that we're one of the best teams in the NFL.
No doubt. Well, I think even if you lose in New Orleans,
how close we played Baltimore in Baltimore in the rain was a real good sign.
Ask the Dallas Cowboys, the last team they want to see, if they finally scratch and claw and get the 4 seed, who they want to see in the opening weekend. The last team that's a possible 5 seed that they'd want to see. It's the San Francisco 49ers, and they would not stutter.
Or the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, I mean, the Seahawks they beat last year.
Sure.
In the playoffs. So they would have in that building. So they would, even despite the Seahawks being better this year, I'm just saying the last one they'd want to see are the 49ers.
Sports, smart. Well, I would like to see the Niners be the 1 or the 2 seed to get that week off.
Of course,
and rest
I know
up.
that.
But if it's going to be Cowboys-Niners in
Oh my
Dallas,
God. Oh my God.
I'll be there. I'm going to fight to be there. But as a Niner fan,
please,
and you just want to stomp out the Cowboys in Dallas. I mean, I know you work with Irvin and Mooch, who you know that was like, oh man, that rivalry in the '90s was one of my favorite things.
Oh baby,
and then
I know
if we could do a revenge tour and get the Cowboys, and then go get the Seahawks in the playoffs, and then go get the Ravens in the Super Bowl, I'm way okay.
You're
with
all in on that. Before I let you go, why is it called Dan Soder's Son of a Gary, which is your stand-up special this Saturday at 10 Eastern?
Yeah, well, I do some jokes about my dad in it, but I have a radio show on Sirius XM called The Bonfire with Big J. Okerson, Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. on Comedy Central Radio. And we kind of jokingly, we both have deadbeat dads named Gary. And so one of our joking side titles was we called ourselves Sons of Gary. That was like our biker name.
Okay.
And then I had to do the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh. I was like, what do you want to call it? I was like, I guess Son of a Gary. And they're like, all right. And then when they came to the special, what I wanted to call the HBO special was Butt Munch, but they wouldn't let me call it.
You know what? I can understand why that run up a flagpole that wouldn't fly.
My manager went to send it and he went, really? And I went, yeah. And they sent it and then they're like, we can't.
No.
We can't.
We can't. That's it. Did you say we can't?
They just go, we can't. And I went, all right, Son of a Gary. And they're like, thank you. They got that. And they're like, thank God. All right. A real title we can promote the special with.
Oh, man. Dan Soder, Son of a Gary, 10 Eastern and Pacific this Saturday, exclusively on HBO, and they're all their platforms. Tickets available at dansoder.com for upcoming tour dates in Boston, mid-January, San Diego, and Los Angeles, as well as San Francisco in February, and so on and so forth. When you're back here in LA, you got to come back.
Dude, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. It's great.
This is what I thought of when I met you. I'm glad that we met. I'm glad that we worked together.
It was a lovely day on set.
I thought so as well.
Got a lot of good work done that day.
At Dan Soder on Twitter and Instagram. Can't wait for the next episode of Billions and next season of Billions as well.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.